Algebra 2, Wednesday, October 24th. No clickers at the beginning. We're going to start out doing a type 2 writing. I want 3 lines, complete sentences, and I want you to talk about the difference in solving by graphing, which is what we did on Monday, and solving by substitution, which is what we did on Tuesday. So take about 3 minutes and get me 3 lines. Okay, today we're going to solve by elimination. You have notes on that. At the top it talks about the 5 steps. The first step is to line the equations up with the variables in order and the constant by itself. Okay? You want your x's above each other. You want your y's above each other, and then the constants are on the right side of the equal sign. Then you're going to fix your signs and your coefficient. You're going to manipulate, which means to change, so that one variable has the same coefficient but opposite signs. It's legal to make changes like this as long as you do it to every single part of the equation. Once you've manipulated, you've got your new equations lined up, you're going to combine the equations. You use whatever signs are there. Okay, you're adding and subtracting at this point. When you do this, one of your variables should cancel. That's the whole goal. We're eliminating something. It should leave you with an equation that only has one variable. Solve for that variable. So you would get x equal a number or y equal a number. And then your last step is that you're going to substitute the answer you just got back into either one of the original equations and solve for the other variable. So looking at number 1. If I'm looking for something that is going to be able to cancel. My x's are lined up, my y's are lined up, my constants are over there by themselves. You want to have something that is opposite signs and is the same coefficient. We have a 1 with x and a 2 with x. Not going to work. A -3 and a +11. Not going to work. Okay, the easiest one to change on this one is going to be to get that x to be a -2x. So to do that, I would take everything in the first equation and I would multiply it by a -2. And so my first equation becomes -2x plus 6y equals a +24. I took everything in the first equation times -2. I'm not making any changes to the second equation, so I just bring it down. 2x plus 11y equals -7. You're going to draw a line and you're going to combine. You're going to use the sign that's actually there. So -2 plus 2 cancels, which is what I want it to do. 6y plus 11y is going to be 17y equals 24 minus 7 is 17. You just use whatever sign happens to be there when you're combining. So now you have an equation and you only have one variable, so you're going to solve for y. Divide both sides by 17 and you get y is equal to 1. That is one of your answers. You are not through. You have to have 2 answers for every problem. Take the 1 back to an original equation and put it in. So on this very first one, it would be x minus 3 times 1 equals -12. So that's x minus 3 equals -12. Add your 3. X is equal to -9. You now have 2 answers, so you're done. If you wanted to check your work, you could take these 2 answers you got back to either of the original equations, plug it in. For example, you would say 2 times -9 plus 11 times 1, and hopefully you would get -7. If you got -7, that's great. If you didn't, you got a problem. On this one, I would probably try to make my b's cancel because they're already an opposite sign. One's negative, one's positive, and 6 and 3, all I got to do is multiply the second equation by 2. The reason I knew that is I said 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so the first equation I just rewrite. 5c minus 6b equals -27. Everything in the second equation gets multiplied by 2. Every single part of it. So that gives me 14c plus 6b equals a -30. Draw your line and combine. 5 plus 14 is 19c. Negative 6, positive 6, they're going to cancel. Equals negative 27 minus 30. Use your calculator because of negative signs. You're going to get negative 57. So then you're going to take and solve for your C. So you're going to divide both sides by 19. And you get C is equal to negative 3. That's your first answer. You're not done. You have to go plug that back into an original problem. So we could say 5 times negative 3 minus 6b equals negative 27. So negative 15 minus 6b equals negative 27. Add your 15. Negative 6b is equal to negative 12. Divide both sides by negative 6. B is equal to a positive 2. If you wanted to check your work, you would take both of those, plug them into the original problem, see if it works. Number 3, if you look, neither of the variables have opposite signs. Neither of them have anything in common. So this means you're going to have to multiply both equations. So choose. Do you want to get rid of x or do you want to get rid of y? I'm going to get rid of x, which means that the first one is going to get multiplied by 4, and the second one is going to get multiplied by 5. Basically, I just multiplied them by the opposite x. The first equation had 5 for the x coefficient, so the second equation got multiplied by 5. Now the thing of it is, they're both positive. Something needs to become negative. So I put a negative with this 4. So it becomes negative 20x minus 12y equals 0. And then it becomes a positive 20x plus 25y equals 5 times 13, which is 65. Draw your line and combine. Your x's cancel. Negative 12 plus 25 is going to be a 13y equals 0 plus 65 is 65. Divide both sides by 13. Y equals 5. Remember, this is just your first answer. So we're going to say 5x plus 3 times 5 equals 0. 5x plus 15 equals 0. Subtract your 15. 5x equals negative 15. Divide by 5, and you get x equals negative 3. If you wanted to check it, take both answers back to an original equation, type it in. I would go with the y's on this one because one's positive and one's negative already. The top equation is going to need, need to be multiplied by 2. So you get 8x minus 2y equals 22. Second equation is fine just like it is, so you bring it down. 2x plus 2y equals 18. Draw a line and combine. 8x and 2x gives you 10x. Your y's cancel. Equals 22 plus 18 is 40. Divide both sides by 10. X equals 4. It's your first answer, but you got to go find the other one. So 4 times 4 minus y equals 11. 16 minus y equals 11. Subtract your 16. Negative y, don't lose that negative, equals negative 5. That means y equals a positive 5. Okay, this was the word problem. Students sold Cokes and Gatorade for a fundraiser. Cokes cost $18 per case and Gatorade cost $21 per case. They sold 260 cases of drinks. The club made $5,100. Write a system of equations that represents the numbers of Gatorades and Cokes sold. How many cases of Coke did they sell? How many cases of Gatorade? Guarantee there will be a question like this on the tax test. You've got to understand how to set this up. But it's not that difficult. You make one equation talking about what they sold and how much of it they sold, how many cases, and you make another equation that deals with the money. So start with the two things they sold. They sold Cokes and Gatorade, and they sold a total of 260 cases. So you're going to add them. That's where my first equation, C plus G equals 260, came from. Then you go back using the same variables, but you put the price with it. Cokes were $18 a case, so that's now 18C. plus Gatorades were $21 a case, that's now 21G, equals they made $5,100. There's your two equations. Now you've got to figure out what you want to cancel. I would cancel my C's, which means that the first equation gets multiplied by a negative 18. So negative 18C minus 18G equals negative 4680. Bring your second equation down just like it is because it's all good. Draw a line and combine. Your C's are going to cancel. That's what I wanted. Negative 18 plus 21 gives me 3G equals negative 4680 plus 5100 gives me 420. Divide by 3. And so G equals 140. They sold 140 cases of Gatorade. Go back up to your original equation, and so C plus 140 equals 260. Subtract your 140. C is equal to 120. They sold 120 cases of Cokes and 140 cases of Gatorade, and there you have it. You've got to understand this kind of problem because I guarantee there will be one like it on the tax test. Okay, that takes you to your assignment. Your assignment is called Solving by Elimination. Best of luck. If you have problems, come find me during speed.